So he gets to the door, and I pull his fins in, and something's not right, right? Like I'm looking at Shane, and like something's not right, and I'm looking at Shane. Shane's looking at me. He's like, Shane says, he's decapitated. Pull me in.
Welcome to the Calm in the Chaos podcast, where we discuss untold heroic experiences and dive into the mindset of the Navy's elite rescue swimmers. Hosted by former U.S. Navy aviation rescue swimmer, Mount Everest solo summiteer, and best-selling author Brian Dickinson.
Hey everyone, it's Brian Dickinson. If you're enjoying these stories, please take a second to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. It helps more people find these conversations, and it keeps the mission alive. And if you want early access to new episodes and to support what we're building, consider becoming a Spotify paid subscriber. Your support means everything. Now let's jump in so others may live. Tim Pilke, 21 years of service, retired chief, just an awesome human. We've been having some interaction back and forth for some time, and I'm just glad that you finally decided to show up.
Thank you. And first off, everybody in the community appreciates what you're doing, Brian. I mean, a lot of guys have made an attempt, but for some reason you got this. Well, you got this true AW about you, the way to tell a story, and it's really endearing. And now that I stand removed since 2007, it's insightful. It really we tell stories so that our shipmates can learn from it, and more than that, you're really bringing into light what we did, because we all don't really realize what we did. But when you start working in the civilian world, you realize that we are way different than everybody else. You know, we really are.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, that's the goal. Just stand and deliver, right? I mean, there's a
Right.
lot of incredible stories out there. We'll talk about, just your journey, just these experiences, or people just can't even imagine. And you're right. It's like when we're all together, we're all doing it, and you never
Yeah.
know, what you're being called to do. We show up and we do it. And then you get out and you even try to share stories with, people that have never or will never even come close to something like that. They can't imagine. And then it almost seems like you're making it up. It's like, okay,
Right.
clearly there's not going to be any camaraderie here that, we can share beyond this, because then it just seems like, I don't know. It's not in us to like puff our chest and to
Right.
brag about what we did. We did it. And I think they try to weed out the individuals that are in it for the wrong reason.
Right.
So
I
cool.
agree.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. For those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up?
Well, most people uh, know me as the Fat Jap.
Yeah.
Uh,
You went there
some
in
of you
a
know,
minute.
some of you know why. My mother is Japanese. My father met my mother uh, during the war. My mother was born pre-war Japan, 1927, I think she was born,
Oh,
and so that's how I ended up being the Fat Jap. Actually, some rescue swimmer friends of mine went home with me at Christmas that first year at HS1, and my civilian friends told my military friends what my nickname was. So that's how I carried over. So I enlisted in 1986. I grew up in Tampa, Florida. Skiing, surfing, swimming in the springs, living on a river. So being in the water was not really a problem. Uh, went to was going to what I consider half commitment college, working at Busch Gardens in Tampa. Really felt
nice.
like there was something bigger was out there for me. When you're a young man and you're just kind of lost. And my father was retired Army, is working in Saudi Arabia. He was home at the time I came home. He says, "How come you're not at work?" I said, "I quit my job." He's like, "You got 2 weeks to get off your ass." So I said, "I leave for the Navy in about a week, Dad." And panic set in with my mom. My dad said, "Go get cleaned up." Came out. He said, "All right, I'm proud of you." And he said, "How come you didn't join the Army?" And I said, "Well, Dad, I went to the Army recruiter." And I'll never forget this. My recruiter had them Corfram shoes on, had a split up on his trash can, smoking a cigarette, first class, hair slicked back, pulled on the Army door. He said, "Those you know what's Won't be back for about 3 hours. They take a long lunch and they come back drunk. You want to join the Navy? I said, yes, sir, I do. You know how to swim? I said, yes, I do. So he looked up my ASVAB scores and he said, you can do nuke power or you can go be a rescue swimmer. And I said, what's that? And he's like, you get to fly around in helicopters. I said, okay. And then I ended up in Orlando, left Orlando and went to aircrew school. That's where I kind of met up with most of the guys that I hold dear, my close friends right now. A lot of, I still see a lot of AWs from the old school days. And, back then, no one got really selected to go. It was written in that you could go to rescue swimmer school, but you had to PT in.
Mm-hmm.
So PT'd in, ended up at rescue swimmer school. Last class, one of the last few classes of 86, ended up graduating in 87 or 3. I got rolled back. I think we started out with close to 35 guys, maybe graduated 6 or 7 from what I remember. My class actually graduated right before Christmas vacation. So graduated. We didn't even graduate with our uniforms on. We did our jumps and we graduated in full wetsuits on the seawall.
Nice.
Yeah, get your stuff, get your orders. You guys are doing Millington on January 4th. Like, wow. So I had a Coast Guard guy in my first class. And
Coast Guard, did you have a Coast Guard instructor or student?
Rescue swimmer. Some of the instructors, like my class that I graduated was actually the class. Some of those guys were the Marecki deal.
Okay.
A few years later. So not sure how all that panned out. I know a lot about the Marecki deal only because I've been friends with a lot of guys who were instructors. Most recently, Dean Schoenrock was a rescue swimmer in HS-15 that became an officer in FO. He actually just retired, I think last year, 2 years ago, as the OIC of Rescue Swimmer School and Aircrew School. So I know a lot about that. It shouldn't happen. I'm just going to say that. Mm-hmm. And, again, it was a different time. When you talk about being elite rescue swimmers, we talked about how we don't really think that we're elite. Mm-hmm. But when I started thinking about it, my first reenlistment, I got a big SRB. At the time, I think Uncle Carl or one of those non-TAC master chiefs were saying that, back in the day, there was only like 240 active rescue swimmers, helicopter. Mm-hmm. And there were more Navy SEALs than were rescue swimmers.
Yep, still are.
So it was like, wow, maybe Brian's right. Maybe we really are elite.
Yeah, if you look at for one, I'm with you. It was my publishers like, oh, you got to do this for whatever marketing. I'm like, well, we don't consider ourselves that. In fact, we don't even consider ourselves. And so that's kind of how that world works in the publishing world. But if you look at the definition, I don't have it in front of me, but it's a small group of individuals that do like unique things. So from a, Webster point of view, yeah, we fit that. A lot of people fit elite. But yeah, I think if anyone in our group ever considers ourselves elite, then we're probably not the right people for the job because that's not the reason we do it.
We all consider ourselves not the best swimmer in the squadron, not the strongest runner. You know what I mean? Not the most push-ups, because really how it washed out is you have some of the guys in the squadron that are, AWs that can run 1.5 miles in 4 minutes. Or 6 minutes, right? 7-minute mile and a half. Mm-hmm. And you got guys like me that are running 10-minute miles and a half, but I can bang out 100 push-ups and 200 and 100 sit-ups in 2 minutes. Does that make sense? Now so when you get all these guys together, like Darren Hotman was saying, you got all these guys that have all these skills and they're high level guys. And when you get everyone together, I mean, it's really insane the amount of things that I've seen aircrew guys do in a shop. Yeah. I mean, and I was fortunate, going on my career, went to A school in Millington, ended up at HS1, went from there to HS7, did the bonefish. It seemed like back in those days, everybody had rescues except for me. I had a lot of recoveries. Went to
Oh,
went
and
to
it's important to, and we can go there. But I want to, just because our job, we don't consider anything but leaving the helicopter in the water a rescue. But like how many medevacs, how many recoveries, how many, every
yeah,
job that we're doing, if you talk to anyone else, like it's incredible. That's our job. So it's
yeah.
being in the water is, secondary. It's
Because
5% of our job.
you only get a Sikorsky pin for a live rescue.
Yeah, yeah, and that maybe that should change. But let's go back to SARS school because this is pre-Mareki, the Sharks and
Yep.
Daisies. It's a lot different than what it is. Even when I went through in '93, it's different. I was right on the cusp of that. So you're right before, I'm right after. You said you got rolled. What did you get rolled for?
I got rolled for uh, I wouldn't say life saving, but it was when you start doing your multis.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I got hit pretty hard, back to back, back to back. I sucked a little water, kind of panicked a little bit. Did the DRB? Do you want to be here? Yes or no? Yeah, I do. So then I just had to figure out, hey, look, you suck water, you suck water. You know, get over it. And
Yeah,
and as a surfer and all that, we don't even see that anymore. I think it was just a matter. I was just overwhelmed.
sure.
Like I
Yeah,
needed more time.
it'll
I
put
needed
you to
more
that
time in the water.
point. That is the whole point, right? Let's see how far we can push
Right,
Kimberly.
right. And look, and this is the deal. There were a lot of guys in my class. So a lot of guys were saying, hey, they rolled back because they had too many guys in the class, which may be true, maybe not true. I don't know. But I did, when I look back, I needed more time. It ended up being, I ended up being stronger and better because my multi, I had no issues with my multi.
Yeah.
I mean,
I say it all
my,
the time is we learn so much more from our failures. And you think of the trajectory of your life if you would have passed through the first time, how different your life would have been. You may have not
right.
had that self-awareness, that grit, that determination to be like, no, I'm not going to
You,
fail out of this.
you
I
talk
have to figure it out.
you talk a lot about failure in these podcasts, and I'll tell you, I failed then. I failed as a third class. I failed as a second, a first, a chief. I mean, you know, I really think I tell these young men that I work in factories now. I'm a boss in a factory. I tell these young men that they actually you're not measured as a man by your successes. You're measured as a man by how you recover from your failures.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
great.
the truth, you know?
Hmm.
I mean, I know that I I'm close with the class leader, Mareki's class leader. He's a friend of mine, and I just know that they were trying to pump swimmers through so much. I I don't really know what the mindset was. I know anytime somebody dies, you got to look at yourself and say, what really happened,
Hmm.
you know? But for us in the fleet, when that happened, we knew what we had to do. We knew when guys came to us post Mareki, we knew that we had to at least get them up to speed. And most of the guys were right there. You know, my one of my big recoveries that we did, I had a guy that put he put in the water and he performed. I mean, he performed to the point where he hooked a guy that was decapitated to himself, and I brought him up. I
Yeah,
brought him up. I brought them both up together. He hooked the guy to himself. So if that isn't heroism, you know,
I know.
I
It's
mean,
dramatic. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's pivot to the real world and the where do you
so,
want to go? HS1
so,
for
so I went
seven?
to HS7, H3s. I did my first deployment was the Libyan MiG shoot down, two F-14s, shot a Libyan MiG, two Libyan MiGs down. I was on alert 5, fast launch. Didn't, I was a young AW3. We had guns mounted. Actually came back and they started adding equipment to the H3 that nobody ever told us what it was. And and from there, we did a rest of the normal deployment, came home, turned right around, fast deployed for the Gulf War for Desert Storm and Desert Shield. September 26, 1990, I took over from a guy named Kenny Ellenberg. He said, "Hey, be heads up, Fat Jap, the number one engine spools down kind of quick." That helicopter had actually been in the desert for about a week prior to that. And we were doing fast roping with the SEALs, had 16 SEALs aboard, pilot, co-pilot. I had a junior crewman. I was a first crewman as a third class. And dump fuel, came down to do a power check. Beautiful day out. Water temperature was great. Came down to do a power check, and lost number one engine. Pilot pushed the nose over. We tried to scoop it out at the bottom. Hit the water about 120, 125 knots. Stayed together. Did a quick assessment. Kicked the SEALs out. Kicked my crewmen out. We're going to fly it out, and ended up hitting a wave, and decided it was time for the rest of us to get out. Actually got picked up by a motor whaleboat.
Nice.
Yeah. By a motor whaleboat with the rescue swimmer from the helicopter that came out to rescue us.
Wow. Well, that's okay. So you just kind of blushed over that. That's pretty intense. What's going through your head as a young first crewman? This is happening. SEALs, I don't know if they're expecting something like this. You're always briefed for it, but it's the last thing, it'll never happen to me.
Well, then we were flying trucks then, because they basically pulled the ASW gear out. So we're flying trucks. The Kennedy was close by, and what had happened, you just start going through the checklist. You start going through this checklist in your head. Start telling everybody, get on the ground, get on, lock arms. I mean, SEALs, man, they're like SEAL Team 8, man. Those guys are like, First time we hit the water, man, we hit and we bounced and we kept flying. They're like, what's going on? I'm like, hang on. And then it rocked up. Got a quick check. Everybody was good. Everybody gave me a thumbs up. Said, all right, we're going to kick you guys out, get your flotation, and get out. So they all started getting out. Once I got back into the water, I asked the lieutenant if he had a head count. He said, yeah. I said, look, co-pilot was kind of freaking out, and my junior crewman was kind of freaking out. So I made those two guys hook together. Pilot was okay. So here I am. Pull my PRC one, pull my prick out. 28. I made the call sign to the Kennedy. Said, this is the first crewman, Dusty Dog. We've got everybody. We're all okay. We're waiting for you. Air boss came over and said, don't worry, son. We'll be there to get you in a minute. And at that time, you could see the ship turning towards us. The ship was coming right at us.
Wow.
Helicopters were flying around. 53, Marine Corps 53 dropped a life raft by us. And we couldn't see it. Couldn't see the life raft because, when you're this high in the water.
Yeah.
And the sea state's about 2 or 3. It's kind of hard to see something close by. And they started effecting the rescue. The other helo did. I ended up grabbing the rescue swimmer and throwing him in the motor whaleboat. Then I got in the motor whaleboat. In true Tim Pilke fashion, as we came alongside the carrier, of course, everybody's looking out of the hangar bay. And it's dead ass quiet, dude. It is so quiet. Like everyone's just watching. So I stood up and raised my hands up, dripping wet. And I was like, woo, yeah. Then the whole ship started cheering. Everyone's like, yeah, woo. I'm like, we're all okay. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Back to work.
Right on. So did the helicopter, did it end up flipping over?
The helicopter did sink. Actually, they sent a crew out with the 53 to put the float bags on. And I think it was, I knew it was Hans Peter Yehidla and Chris Carnes. And I think Chris McKera, that I'm talking about strong swimmers, they tried to get the float bags on it, actually got the float bags, but it flipped upside down. And then it sank. Yeah. So then they cleared me. This was like 8:30 in the morning. They cleared me out of medical at about 1300. I remember them giving me a pill. They said, hey, get something to eat. Take this pill, go to sleep.
Hey, if you love high-stakes action, military intrigue, and stories that keep you turning pages late into the night, you won't want to miss my new thriller, Bloodline of Redemption. From a rogue Russian submarine on a covert nuclear mission to the unforgiving peaks of the world's deadliest mountains, it's a nonstop ride of suspense and survival. Order your copy now on Amazon or wherever books are sold and dive into the mission.
Then about 2300, the ASDO wakes me up. Jet, you got to breathe. Like, I just crashed. They're like, you got to breathe. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to stand the alert 60 all night, right? Get up to the ready room, and it's a midnight plane guard hop. And I'm kind of panicking. One of the lieutenants we had, his name was Lieutenant Minky. He was the aircraft commander. He looked over at me. He said, "You're going to be just fine. Don't worry." And we did a hot pump crew switch. I heard him say, "Gauge is green, ready to lift." I started sweating. My heart started racing. Man, I was in panic mode.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting in the sonar seat. I was looking out the window. I saw the front of the ship go by into the blackness of the night. Really, really sweating. Heard the co-pilot say 300 feet, you clear left. And the pilot said security checks. And I got up and did the security checks. I walked up through the cockpit, gave him a thumbs up. Lieutenant Mickey grabbed my arm and pulled me in the cockpit. He's like, "You're going to be just fine. Get your ass to the back of the plane and do what you got to do." Like, yes, sir. And that was it. I mean, I didn't think anything else about it at that point.
Well,
but later I found out that there was a reason why they put me on that hop to get me going. Yeah. Because had I not, I probably wouldn't have flown anymore.
Maybe. Yeah, right or wrong, I guess it worked, but man, that's you're still in shock. Like the mind doesn't process that fast. There's a process around it, and it can take some time. And yeah, you can fight or flight in that moment, and that can be your career. It's kind of like Maverick. You just lost Goose, get back up in the air. And every flight's like, oh my gosh, that's a multi-million-dollar aircraft. And this is your mind, it's stashing it down, compartmentalizing it, and now you're just normalizing, under continued action and exposure therapy, right or wrong. It's a means to an end, but yeah, that's some scary stuff. I can't imagine. I had someone on who had a crash, and then when they were brought back, came into a pretty aggressive move, and it was the same thing. They're still in shock, and you're just, yeah. I'm not
here. But then here it goes. It takes you from here, and it put me on the extreme, because then when we started flying CSAR hops, and when I went to HS1 as an instructor, and we stood up Navy CSAR on the East Coast, we didn't really know what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so when we started dragging stingers through the dirt and fences through the stabulator and tearing up rotor blades on trees, like I was like, okay. Because in my brain, I was like, well, this is what, I mean, we didn't die, right? So, I mean, I guess we didn't fall over, right? So we're good.
But did you die?
Right. But then you got to reel yourself back in and go, wait a second. Like, this is serious, So then you start training those young guys. Well, I was a young guy, but you start training guys that doing it. You're like, hey, look, you got to be spot on. Because if you're not spot on, I mean, you've seen how we fly those helicopters. I mean, we were doing stuff at Camp Merrill where, there's a canopy of trees, and the first helo would come in and hover taxi up underneath the canopy so the second helo could get in there. Then when the second helo took off, you had to back up under the canopy and take off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we were doing. I mean, it was like, are we really doing this? Like, well, we may be called to do this, Then you start getting into brownouts. I mean, Carrizo is kind of blown out. When you go to the Persian Gulf, it's like a really brown out with that brown grain sand that gets in everything. That you know what it's like, man. You're just
doing it.
You know what to do and where to do it, and we don't even think anything about it. But then here we're landing 4 helicopters in the middle of the desert, and it's like everybody's on point.
Yeah, I didn't realize, I guess, a lot of it until years later, when I was getting some therapy, and they're talking about journaling. I'm like, all right, I'll start journaling. It's my own private journal. And once you, and I recommend this to anyone in life, but especially
Right.
what we did, you start writing this stuff down and it's like, holy crap. Like how close you just, earlier we're talking, you're three people away from knowing people. Well, you're also three, you know, seconds from death in so many different areas. And it's like, this was normal. This is just what we did. And
Right.
when you have a culmination of those things, it's like, okay, that it adds up. And dealing with it is as important as doing it. You're effective then. Now you got to be effective as an adult later, like an actual elder adult.
It's funny. It's funny that you said that being men's mental health month because I started healing myself healing process about 3 years ago. And I was just letting it ride, man. And everybody that knows me knows that I'm kind of wild. And it just got to a point where I met my wife now. We met, we started dating, and I was like, man, I probably really need to be a better person for myself, for her, and my stepson now. So it's like, because I got two daughters that are adults, and I got a grandson, and so it's like maybe it's really time to, as my counselor put it, he kept putting stuff in this box. A long time ago, a guy named Scott McGinnis told me, hey, new guy, put that in the box, and if you want to deal with it, take it out. But if you don't, then just leave it there. Well, then she was like, I guess the box is starting to leak out now, isn't it? I'm
Mm-hmm.
like,
Need a bigger
yeah.
box.
Yeah, because really, you start to get to a point in your life where you don't want the chaos anymore. Even though we're good at the chaos,
Mm-hmm.
we don't want the chaos anymore. We want a little more structure. We really want to know why I feel a certain way about certain things. And when I started getting help, then I started pushing on my closest AW friends. Hey, look, you need to get help.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wasn't diagnosing people. It was like, you need to do this because
Yeah.
if you don't, down the road, one of us is not going to be here. So, one of our guys.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you. I've been around a lot of AWs that ended up in special warfare, and animal actually got a commission, and he went to Afghanistan with the Queen's Guard, the British Queen's Guard, and it disassociated towards that. You know, even doing what we did, seeing dead bodies, you know, hurricane relief effort. I mean, come on, man. Guys that are doing tsunami relief. Did you get to do any of that over there? Tsunami relief?
No.
I know Rob Maynard was one of my guys on the ESCU. He was in HS2, did all that, you know. And that's a pretty tough gig.
Yeah.
So
You
I
can't
went from
unsee a lot of it.
7 to 10, started doing the CSAR stuff, went back to HS11, did the last cruise of the America, did a cruise on the Washington. Then I decided I wanted to go see the homeland. And Master Chief Fish Command did not want to send me to Japan because it was shore duty and put me in for the Emergency Ops Center at the White House. I did not get that job, and I ended up at Feizo Tregu Det Atsugi.
Oh.
That's how I ended up knowing a lot of those guys in Japan, right? I trained
Mm-hmm.
with them. Like Erica Gibson, right? Remember she talked about being on Iwo Jima?
Yeah.
That was our airwing that crashed at S3. I went as the interpreter.
Oh, wow.
And I have a bottle of sand from Invasion Beach sitting right up there. But Corey Hunt was there, and a lot of guys that I knew from HS-14. Some of those guys were from the East Coast with me. So, and the Japanese guys on that base, the first lieutenant was actually a Japanese master chief when I made chief. So we definitely got a good deal there. But I went from I made chief out of Atsugi, Japan. Was Sailor of the Year for the Det and for the West Coast. Trey Bezo.
Wow. You're
And
a big deal.
well, it's like this. It's like this. You go to Japan, you start teaching ASW stuff, right? Then like, hey, we're teaching Microsoft Office. Who wants to do that? Well, of course, you're around a bunch of guys that are like, no, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't want to do that. All right, I'll do it. They're like, hey, son, who wants to teach weight and balance? I'm like, how come none of these maintenance guys want to teach weight and balance? Well, you got to go to Okinawa and you got to go where the Marines are around Japan. I'm like, all right, I'll do that. So here I was in AW teaching weight and balance, DTPL, QA stuff. teaching Microsoft, teaching ASW stuff. So it was like, and luckily there was two khaki AWs at Home Guard in San Diego, and when your package comes in, they're like, oh, this guy's out taught everybody. He's a sailor to me, and I knew that was my one chance to make it.
Yeah.
And thank God I made chief and went to HS4 on the West Coast. Left 4, and about that time, they were standing up jets in the Philippines on the USNS Stockholm, doing maritime interdiction down there, real world stuff. So I actually went down in HS4. When I went down to HS4, they stood up the Expeditionary Sea Combat Unit. I don't know if you're around for that.
Mm-hmm.
They stood that unit up under HS guise of HS10, had its own UIC, and it was a CDET, and rotated from there to ESCU Det 3, and that's where I finished up. And that was 2 H's on a USNS boat, Mark Fives down there, split guys down there, Filipino Marines, chasing bad guys.
Nice. So how was that, man? That sounds
That
a lot different.
that was the highlight of my career. It was my last hoorah in the Navy. As a matter of fact, the last log that I have in my flight time logbook is green time. So it was awesome. We took 6 other guys other than myself, 4 pilots, small maintenance crew. I'm talking one of each job, maintenance master chief and a maintenance officer down there. And you've probably seen some of the pictures of the gray and black camouflage H60, the HH,
Mm-hmm.
doing fast roping and stuff. That was done down. That was all down there.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Is there a certain mission set during that deployment that you can talk to?
Well, it was always one Papa Nines training, but it was all real stuff. We had a few boardings. We really didn't get a lot of heat down there. I mean, we owned the night, we owned the day, and we were just supporting the Army that was down there. There were a few things that happened.
Want to show your support for Calming the Chaos and the stories of our nation's elite rescue swimmers? Check out our exclusive merch line shirts, hats, and stickers designed for those who live with courage and purpose. Military and first responders get 10% off each order. Just use the code SARRESCUE10, SARRESCUE, the number 10, SARRESCUE10, at checkout. Grab yours today on Amazon or briandickinson.net/store and wear your support proudly so others may live. I'll just leave it at that.
We'll just leave it at I mean, nothing like what those guys are doing with the Houthis in the Red Sea right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were all. What made us good before we went down there? I told the guys, I said, look, we're going to have our own rope masters. We're going to have our own jump masters. We're going to be able to go down there and support ourselves. And that's what really helped out. We had a fast platoon Marines down there with us. Most of those guys ended up in Marshall, and we just went down there. By the time we got down there in Det 3, when I went down with HS4, it was a little more aggressive. By the time we went down there in Det 3, the power for peace, man. You're already flexed, and the Filipinos know what's going on. Everybody knows what's going on down there. So, we did a few cool things. Other than that, it was uneventful. I mean, you always
show force.
When I was on the America, we were in Bosnia, right around the time Scott O'Grady happened.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, the recovery that I got, I'm not going to mention who it was or what squadron it was, but because he got compromised, that's when they went to the radio with the GPS already in it.
Mm.
Basically, you just key it. It sends your code. It sends where you are. So me and Shropshire, Jay's in your book.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
me and the Strop went to every squadron in the air wing and trained them on the new radio. So the night of my recovery, the officer that I picked up, he actually passed me in the passenger lane. Hey, Fat Jeff, you going to be out there tonight? Yes, sir, I sure am. I feel a lot safer. So I guess we get into that. So I feel a lot safer. So no problem. So we took off. I remember it was probably about a 10:30, 11 o'clock takeoff. We were not primary. We were not primary playing guard because I don't know how you guys did it for us. Anytime one was playing guard, you always had two helos playing guard, and then you always had another helo that was doing whatever needed to be done, always round the clock. So we weren't the primary; we were the secondary. So we were in the Persian Gulf. We started heading north, just getting out of everybody's way. I'm listening on the radios, and I start hearing roll call. Guys coming. You know, this is Gulf War II, right? 97. Guys coming off target, they're rendezvousing on tanker, they're going through roll call. And then, you know, we're talking in aircraft, doing a little training, and I hear them going through roll call again. So I told the pilot, I said, hey, Mr. Martins, Mr. D'Angelo, are you guys listening to the back channel? No, what's going on? I said, click up. So they clicked over, and then they heard the roll call a third time. They were missing two F-18s. They had actually tried to rendezvous on tanker, and they went wingtip to cockpit. The Lance guys out of Hawaii got the one guy that was alive. We took up the search. We were ready en route. Took up the search. Found the guy. He was probably buoyant. I want to say about 6-8 feet underwater. No parachute. Flotation device. I put Shane Weaver in the water. Shane hit the water, staying on top. I see Shane free dive, which here's the backstory. Some of the guys in HS7, S3 crash. Tracy Mann, who's on Facebook with us, AW, he's the only one that lived in that crash. He's actually an airline pilot. So my buddy AJ goes down to get this guy, and the guy is deceased and almost drags AJ underwater. So I see Shane free dive, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no, please don't. Well, he comes up with him. I'm like, okay, all right. I'm right on top of it. Okay, here we go. So I'm keeping the hook close, you know, keeping the strap close. So I see him doing the head, neck, and chest, and they just stop. And they're spinning in the water like this. And the pilot's watching. The pilot's like, what's going on? What's going on? I'm like, I don't know. Come on. Like literally, it feels like, 30 seconds feels like an hour. So I'm like, come on, Shane. I'm yelling, come on, Shane. Come on, Shane. Finally, he just starts checking his legs. I mean, like a champ. I mean, dragging, doing the spiral highway, getting going, hooks himself up, gives him a thumbs up, hoists him up. So he gets to the door, and I pull his fins in, and something's not right. Right? Like I'm looking at Shane, and like something's not right. And I'm looking at Shane. Shane's looking at me. He's like, Shane says, he's decapitated. Pull me in. So like that's the shock factor. So we pull him in. Shane rolls off. Hey, we're clear for port flight. I realize he's missing part of his leg too, and we're about 2 hours away from the carrier.
Oh.
So we call the HMS, the British carrier. We fly over there. We sit on deck and get gas. They actually have a guy that's on board the British carrier that's from the same squadron that this guy's from, the pilot is helping out. So they tag him, bag him, bring him on board. He gets on with us, and then we fly back to the carrier. It was a pretty intense night. Shane, me and Shane stayed together. We recruited together probably 2 weeks after that. Every day, getting up at the same time, going to the gym, doing all. And that was a pretty hardcore. One of my hardcore ones. My rescue where I got my Sikorsky pin. Let me tell you how this happened. My last URA on the H3 Hurricane Andrew hits Miami. Boom. 18 hours later, you guys got to go. Off we go. So we're set up down there. We're working for FEMA. We're wearing these hot pink T-shirts under our flight suits. We think we're cool. We're wearing FEMA patches like we're cool. So we're flying some of that stuff. You're doing regular overland stuff, but a lot of it is one flight a day goes to West Palm Beach, picks up some dignitaries or engineers or politicians, and we bring them down. So we were taking them back. We're coming back to Miami, North Miami, and we're just flying along, just like 4 or 5 days after it hit. We're just flying along, and Commander Vasquez is flying, and I'm sitting up against the door, right, looking out, being cool. Probably have chew in the back of my mouth because I chewed tobacco back then. Mark Bolton, AW1 Bolton, and I go, "What was that?" Mark's like, "What was what?" I'm like, "Hey, come back around, sir." So Commander Vasquez is a seasoned H3 pilot, so he just knows the aircraft up, right? Starts bleeding off airspeed, climb up over the top, and as soon as he gets vertical, and I'm looking, there's actually two guys walking about this deep in the swamp in the Everglades. So we circle back around, literally lower the hoist down, hoist them both up. We've got probably 50 gallons of water back there, boxes of cookies. We're giving them water and cookies. We're like, "You guys are okay? Who are you?" We didn't even write their names down. They're like, "Yeah, our car's somewhere around here." So we see this car parked on this dirt road. So we circle around. The guy's like, "Yeah, that's our car." So we just land on the dirt road and kick them out. Take off, because you're just picking people up and you're dropping people off, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's martial law down there. I mean,
Yeah, Uber.
we don't even know, So fast forward, we're down there about 45 days. I come home. We're all standing at quarters. Me and Mark, you got all the maintenance. You got SAR school because Jack SAR is there. So the whole squadron's at quarters. Me and Mark Bolton are instructors. We're in the back. We're ass grabbing like we shouldn't be doing. And you hear Petty Officers Pilkay and Bolton front and center. And I'm like,
Yep.
so we go marching up. Marching up there, the Secretary of the Navy probably was like, "What's going on?" They give us our rescue award. I'm like, what rescue is this? So come to find out, the two kids that got stuck on this little island during the hurricane, and there was a little tidal surge. Well, these kids, their parents were, one of them was like a county commissioner down in Miami. Another one was, their parents were in government. They wrote this big thing to the governor, and then the governor sent all this. I was like, "All right, well, I guess I got a real rescue now." I mean, literally cheesy rescue, man.
Yeah, well,
You
whatever.
know,
I mean, how many uncheesy do you have in your life? And you
yeah,
just happen to get rewarded
right.
for the one.
I mean, and then here I came from a squadron with Larry Grossman, Chris McCara, and Brett Eckert. Before Larry got his rescue, Brett Eckert was the most decorated rescue swimmer peacetime. I mean, he had like 2 comms. He had a comm and comm with a V. He had a couple of NAMs, all for rescues. It was like, here I am, get this cheesy rescue. But hey, I got my horse pin. That's all I know.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Wow. So what do you think in your 21 years, because you've had the gamut, and just an era of just major evolution of the program. What do you feel is the most defining, like if you were to pick one single defining moment?
I would say, well, we got the H, and we started taking on that CSAR role, and then it eventually moved to arm helo. That's when shit really got real.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it got like, "Hey, we're sending 2 helos in here. We're sending 2 helos on this little small ship. We're sending, I've been very fortunate to be in units that were high speed, just like a couple Croatian submarines got loose. Nobody knew where they were. They couldn't find them. So we sent a Foxtrot and 2 crews over to a small boy, and then we caught them. And we turned them over to everybody, and we got ready to leave that small boy to go back, and they lost them again. The H60, when the H60 came in, trust me, I love the H3. I love it. But when we got the H60, man, we got that dipping sonar, and I love tracking submarines. We got that dipping sonar, and we got the armed helo. Things really changed drastically. I mean, you want to talk about fast forwarding to where we are now. I mean, I mean, I really thought that when the Osama bin Laden raid happened, I really thought that could have possibly been a Navy cruise, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And
if we had refueling capability, maybe. But yep, SOARs. Yeah, I mean, even now, like this, they're working hand in hand. So I have a couple folks that have been on and will be on, that have been in that, working alongside, like in the joint
yeah,
operations. And it's
and look, there was a lot of things that we did that we don't say, and a lot of places that we shouldn't have been.
hmm
We spent time in Split, Croatia, working off of a skiff, you know, and I know guys in HS3 that went after Scott O'Grady and came back with bullet holes in the bottom of the helicopter, and
yep.
maintenance was like, "Hey, you guys know you got shot up?" I'm like, wait, we did what? Yeah, you guys got shot up. So things happen pretty rapid with age 60, and
Yeah.
I really can't complain. I got almost 5,000 hours of flight time, and
Well,
and I lived through it all. That's the main thing. You turn around, and you go, dang, we lived through it all.
yeah, yeah. And a
You
lot of
know,
our friends did not. So it's
hey,
that can be good and
more,
bad, right?
hey, more than you know. I was on both coasts plus Japan, so I just know that there was. I mean, hell, my mentor, they dedicated the VA clinic to Orange Park to him. Andy Baker,
Yeah.
and I mean, just every time you turn around on Facebook, guys are saying, "Hey, this day, black and blah blah blah." Then you just stop
hmm
for a second.
Yeah.
Memorial Day weekend's a very tough weekend for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even we lost an AW in the Pentagon too during 9/11. You know, he wasn't a helo guy, but we spent. He was a good friend of mine. He spent time with him on the ship, and you know, I mean, there's AWs have made this ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah. Even beyond.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's well, thank you for everything you've done. You don't, it's a lifestyle for sure, and just serving others. I always say it's the ultimate form of serving others because you're literally going to give up your life.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that, serving others, because I do manufacturing, and now I work for Milwaukee, which is major. But they always ask, you do these leadership classes, and and really honestly, like corporate leadership does things that's like
I know.
E4 training, right? It's like your BMRs, and then they're like, what kind of leadership? What leadership type are you? And then I just look at them and I go, servanthood, because really, in the shop, as you make rank, you're still a servant to the junior guys,
Mhm.
right? I mean, they got to be trained, right? I mean, you
Yep.
were trained. Your next deployment, you got to train those guys, right?
Yep.
And so even now, you know, I mean, how many times you've been out doing your mountaineering stuff, and you have to help people out,
Every
because
time.
that's just what we do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And you
it's
have
our life,
opportunities. It's whether you step forward or step back. I was just
right?
on St. Helens a few weeks ago. It's just soloed up, had the opportunity to, help someone out who took a major fall, concussion, broken arm, just bleeding profusely. And, hey, guess what? I have these skills and I have the opportunity to do this, and I'm
Right.
choosing to do it. And
And we don't, and AWs. I don't care if you're non-tac, attack. I don't care if you're old school, whatever. We all run to the fight, man.
yeah,
I mean, and look, it's sometimes you're like, why do I do this? Why do I get myself in this? Because we
right.
realize that our skill level is. I mean, even in the factories, when people get hurt, even though we have responders, they call me.
hmm
Or if there's an issue with, you got an unruly employee, and they call us, because we usually can de-escalate those situations, and you know and make an impact on people. It's pretty amazing. Even though you and I have never stood face to face, shook hands, we're the same. We are the same. and
Yep.
and and you know, my wife went down to the last reunion. We were just engaged, and I said, "Look, honey, like you haven't been around military guys very much, okay? And you certainly have not been around AWs, rescue swimmers. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be very overwhelming for you. And they're going to say a lot of stuff about me, good and bad. Take it all with a grain of take it all with a grain of salt." And like she had the best time because you'll see when you go down next year, you're going to see as soon as you walk into that pavilion, it's everyone's just going to cut loose. It's awesome. It's just like being it's just like being on the boat, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, it really. I mean, we need that. You need to go. Your wife needs to see you in the middle of that, getting harassed by everybody, and it's a time for us to really. I'm going to tell you that helped me with my mental health, and I won't miss it.
Yeah.
It's every other year, and I won't miss it. I encourage every rescue swimmer to go down there because you just don't get that kind of camaraderie anywhere you go. I mean, it's really helped me heal. It's helped a few guys that I know that go down there, has helped them heal and to reconnect with guys that they wouldn't normally have reconnected with.
Hmm.
It's just, it's really something. And the people that put it on, man, they do it out of the goodness of their heart. And
Hmm.
it's just really something.
Yeah.
I hope you go. So at least I can hug your neck and, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Hopefully it'll work out. Um, all right. You want to do a hypothetical scenario?
let's do it.
All right.
Now look, I may not be the one to do it because I'm like this: jump, jump, jump. I don't even look, dude.
All right.
If you're giving me the jump sign, I'm out. I'm out
Okay.
the door.
Let's find a jump, jump, jump one. All right. All right. Submerged aircraft rescue in enemy waters. A Navy jet crashes into the ocean near a hostile zone. The pilot ejects, but it's trapped in the sinking fuselage. You are in an HH. You're in the door. Jump, jump, jump. What's going
I'm
through your
out.
head?
I got to get there quick because it's not going to last very long. So you know there's going to be fuel in the water. I've already lived through that. Got to make sure you're not hung up, and you got to get there quick. Um, you got to assess if the canopy's open or not.
What if it's not?
You got to figure out a way to get it out, get it open.
What tools do you have on you?
Oh, just your knife,
Yeah, good luck, right?
right? I mean, he could probably open it from the inside if he's coherent. You know, um, you definitely don't want to have a heat bottle with you or none of that. You don't want to worry about any of that crap. From my experience, planes float. Uh, from what I've seen, planes float for a long time,
Hmm.
and there really may be an opportunity to get him out as long as he's alive and breathing. Uh, I was a plane captain, so I don't know if I know how to work a jet, but I'm pretty sure I could swim around and find out.
That's right. You figure it out.
At that point, you're freelancing, bro, right? I mean,
Hmm.
you know, the only thing you got to make sure of is that you don't get tangled up and you don't get pulled down. You can't rescue somebody else if you're drowning yourself, right?
That's
So
right.
that's the main thing. I'm pretty sure that that's a saltwater activated system, right? I mean, once it fills up with water, something's going to happen. As long as
Yep.
you're not sitting on top of it, I guess you're okay.
That's true. Yeah,
I mean, right?
exactly.
Don't be in the blast zone, right?
Don't be in the blast zone. No, it's so true. Yeah, you get there and you reassess and you do everything in your power. Keep that person alive, encourage them to get out. All right, nice job. You saved them.
Thank you.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Well, Kim, you've had incredible experiences that, the listeners just for the most part cannot relate to. Probably the other rescue swimmers be like, "Yep, he's definitely one of ours." What's a bit of wisdom that you would give our just everyone, rescue swimmers and non?
You know, you know, we go through this training and it builds confidence. And sometimes people aren't successful because they're afraid of failure. And I have never, ever, ever seen a rescue swimmer ever be afraid to fail. So remember that, because when I transitioned from the Navy to the civilian world, I really didn't know what the hell I was getting into. But somebody saw it in me and said, "Hey, you got what it takes to be a boss." And at that point, I really just started running my crews like I was running a shop. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You got your seniority structure. Uh, you let people be successful in their strengths, and you work on their weaknesses. And good call. Remember what we used to tell guys that were going to be first crewmen? Good call, bad call. Just make a call. Make a call. Get going in a direction, and we'll turn the bus when we get there. But just make a call, because nobody wants a boss that's standing around that can't make a call.
Yeah.
I mean, so make the call.
Yep.
Even like this, you're struggling with PTSD, or you're struggling in your marriage, and you don't know what to do. From my experience, because I've had a few marriages, and one was very rough, but until you make the turn and say, "I'm going in this direction," it's horrible. Once you get direction, go. So, guys that are active duty and you're getting out, don't be afraid. Every company out there, every business out there needs leaders like us. They need
Mhm.
guys to make the call. And maybe this day and age, maybe it's changing with leadership change in the White House, but uh, for a while there, people like us were frowned upon. But we don't back down, because this is what I know: when shit hits the fan, everybody's looking for guys like us,
Absolutely.
and girls like us. Because I'm going to tell you, I was around when we brought females into the rate, and we trained them hard, and they kicked ass.
Hmm.
And I'm very proud to say that a lot of them worked with me, and like Erica and
Yep.
Melissa. I actually
Yep.
saw Melissa. I knew who she was. I saw her down at Jeep Beach in Daytona a couple of years ago. She was with the SEAL team experience down
Yeah.
there.
Cool.
And introduced myself, and she's like, "Oh, I've heard of you, blah blah." So
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're awesome. She's awesome. Yeah. And what's crazy is if you would have went through with that pap smear, you may have been the first female.
well, according to Dean Schoenrock and Master Chief Boswick, I am the first female.
We have an exclusive here on the Calm and the Chaos podcast.
So look, I followed Master Chief Boswick over to the clinic like a little kid following his dad. And back then, Stan Boswick's kind of a tall, stoic guy. And of course, they're all like, "Can we help you, Master Chief?" And he's like, "Who the F's in charge around here?" Unfortunately, they pushed this Lieutenant JG out the door, right? It's like, "Oh, Master Chief, what's the problem?" He's like, "I need his up shit." He's like, "What's holding it up?" And he grabbed me by the back of the neck, and he pushed me up close to him. He said, "Does he look like he needs a pap smear?" Like, "No, Master Chief, sign his chit right now. He's got to fly tonight."
Oh,
And
man.
that chit came out in like 10 seconds. He's like,
Yep.
"Go home and get changed." Like, "Yes, Master Chief."
That's
And
hilarious.
look, here's the other part of this. I don't know if you know this, but you know, Master Chief Boswick's son was an AW. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, he was in a helicopter crash and he just left at
Mhm.
age 3. And so Master Chief Boswick and his family are forever loved by all the AWs. So it's like, you know, Master Chief really, his wife, when we go to the reunion, his wife, he calls us all her kids. I mean, it's so here we are, man. This whole, being an AW, having those gold wings in the helicopter community, you're in it. It's like the mafia, man. You're in it, bro. I don't care whether you want to not be in it or not. You're in it,
Mhm.
and people are going to speak your name, and they're probably going to say great things about you. And when you stand there with your family, you're going to be like, "Oh, come on, here we go." But the reality of it is, like my best friend AJ, his kids didn't even know what he had done, and I had to tell them when they were teenagers, "Your dad's a hero. You know that?" "What do you mean?" And then he's looking at me like, don't. And I said, "No, man, I'm going to toot your horn." it's a hell of a community and great, 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 great sailors. I mean, I wouldn't change it for the whole world. And I'm not one of those guys that still lives in the past. I don't. But man, I sure do love me some rescue swimmers. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, me too.
And,
Yeah, thank you.
by the way,
Yes.
I'm getting on this weekend and I'm buying my Calm in the Chaos gear. And I'm gonna support that shit on Instagram.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yep. Yeah. And like I've said, I'm not doing this I don't make any money on this show or anything. It costs a lot more to put it on, but it's important. It's about getting our voices out there. We've been, I don't know, in the shadows for too long. It's not about tooting our horn. It's about the impact we can have, beyond the helicopter, and just sharing these our experiences is, I don't know. I'm seeing the impact. I think others are seeing it. And Kim, I appreciate you and you as a friend, you as a brother, and for having the courage to come on the show and, just tell your experiences.
And on the final note, everyone's going to tell you that I'm a crack up because I don't really take things too seriously.
No?
But there used to be every slam log, and there's even some places around the world that I draw this little Chinese guy, and it says "Fat Jap says," and then I'll have some sort of crazy saying by it. So, for all my friends that know me as Fat Jap, I love you, Brian. I appreciate you. You can call me Fat Jap from this point forward, and you guys keep swimming. Don't give up. If you need help, it's Men's Mental Health Month. If you need help, get it.
Yes.
I've gotten it.
Me too.
Some of the toughest AWs you guys know have gotten it. And look, the world's a better place with you in it. So stay in it with us.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you.
Thanks,
you, Kim.
Brian.
And for everyone else, thanks for joining, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Calm in the Chaos podcast. Please subscribe to be notified of future episodes. And if you enjoyed what you just heard, please leave a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. Until next time, get out there and make a difference so others may live.